Hi, everyone. It's George LaRocque. Welcome back to Work Tech. We have some more exciting industry funding news for you. Searchlight, a talent intelligence software, announced a $17 million Series A round late in December. And joining me to talk about it is Searchlight's CEO and co-founder, Kerry Wang, and CTO and co-founder, Anna Wang. Welcome, Kerry and Anna.
Thanks, George. It's great to be here.
Well, thank you for making the time. I've looked at what you do, and I'm excited to talk about this because the companies are having such a hard time finding and assessing and then hiring top talent. I mean, it's top of mind for businesses of all sizes and globally. So I'm really excited to learn more about how you help companies make better hiring decisions and how you help them do that faster and with increased quality. So first, though, would you mind telling everyone a little bit about yourselves and about Searchlight?
For sure. I'll kick us off. So I'm Kerry. Before starting Searchlight, I studied org behavior and computer science while at Stanford. And I worked at companies like Google and McKinsey. I've always been really fascinated by what makes great teams work. And so that's why I love building Searchlight, and I love just seeing the impact that we've had with our customers like TalkDesk, SnapDocs, and Zapier being able to hire up to 40% faster while also improving first-year retention by 45%.
Wow.
I'm Anna. I'm the co-founder CTO at Searchlight. I'm also Kerry's twin sister, and similar to her, before starting Searchlight, I studied engineering and artificial intelligence at Stanford, and I also worked at Google and McKinsey in complementary roles like product management, software engineering, and management consulting. At Searchlight, what I found most compelling is building people-first software that really brings in the best of the user experience practices and applied artificial intelligence to help companies hire and retain better.
Wow, that's really interesting. I know the industry, everybody watching this is now really curious about your backstory. Like, I love founder origin stories, how the team came together. And I could be wrong. I'm assuming you both didn't grow up thinking we're going to start an HR tech company, once we're out of Stanford. But I would love to hear more. I know everybody would love to hear more about what led you both to starting Searchlight. So that may be the most interesting part of the story for a lot of folks today. So I'll hand it off to you.
Yeah, I love telling the story. So, Searchlight was founded because of our personal pain points as both job candidates and hiring managers. Anna and I are two people that accidentally ended up with the same resume, with the same schools, the same companies. And so we know from personal experience that two people with the same credentials can still have vastly different working styles and skill sets. But current hiring processes are absolutely terrible at understanding these differences.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. On the job search, Kerry and I were very much labeled the same person and bucketed as going after the same kinds of jobs when really we weren't. So we understood the struggle of many prospective candidates to want to be deeply understood. And I personally believe that the line between personal identity and professional identity keeps getting blurred, right? And having a connection between our work and our purpose and passion leads to us feeling like we belong, we're more fulfilled, and ultimately creates win-win situations for companies, because when we belong and feel fulfilled, we ultimately perform.
So it sounds like you were both out, in the job market and or in your careers, and sort of in the background looking at each other being considered for different positions or the same positions or the wrong positions, understanding more about each other than the folks that were hiring or managing you. And this that's really the synthesis that gave you the idea of helping them get it right.
Yeah. That was the first moment that it sparked. Okay. And then when we became hiring managers, we then also empathized with the pain points on the other side of the table as well. We then were desperate to understand our own candidates' skills and working styles so that we can make better, more objective hiring decisions. And we went out, did our own research as well, talked to hundreds of people and talent leaders. And that's when we found that there's a huge talent data gap in hiring today that leads to almost half of all hires failing within 18 months, over 89% of those being due to a soft skills mismatch, which is almost impossible to understand through traditional resumes and interviews. So the start of Searchlight was a more predictive and fair assessment by understanding candidates through the people who actually know them their best, their references. And then it was through working with our customers that we then expanded our data insights platform into a more comprehensive talent intelligence software that connects recruiting inputs to post-hire outcomes. And so we now have this entire talent intelligence platform designed around quality of hire.
Yeah. Well, I want to dig in on the assessment bit and some of the details that you share, but could you expand on the product, what the core components of Searchlight are, so that maybe we'll start there, and then I'd love to dig in. I do have a couple questions.
Absolutely. Well, the core of Searchlight is that we are helping companies improve their quality of hire, their hiring quality and retention. And we do that through a variety of ways, but the main point is to provide the data and metrics around something that has previously been so elusive and yet so critical to retention. As the name Searchlight suggests, we are shining a light on aspects of finding and retaining the right teams that have previously been really hard to see. So the first thing we do is, as Kerry mentioned, we focus on developing a better understanding of a candidate through their behavioral profile, their behavioral data. And at Searchlight, we bucket behavioral data, and we speak about topics such as competencies, which are the skills and experiences necessary to do a job, the strengths and gaps, which are those spikes and gaps that we all have, and cultural alignment, which is just how does someone add to the operating practices at your existing company. Once we develop this understanding of a candidate, this behavioral profile exists in Searchlight, and we help our customers connect this behavioral profile, this pre-hire data, to post-hire outcomes. And ultimately what this does, by closing that loop, we create a powerful hiring and retention engine that provides prescriptive insights all across the recruiting cycle to things like creating job specs, more targeted sourcing, better candidate assessments, even onboarding and launching people to success through new hire reviews.
Yeah. Well, I'm a big believer in assessments. I think in my experience, people who are skeptical of assessments haven't seen assessments used properly. They haven't seen the right sort of validated assessments or the right science and behavioral team behind the assessments. And there is a long-term debate about, assessments and how helpful they are or aren't. But I've seen in the field, dynamics shift and improvements like the ones that you're talking about around retention as well as selection. So I'm excited to hear more about the assessment. Is it because that's one of the big hurdles up front, is the candidate adoption, especially in today's consumerized world. I think on your site it talks about making that a better experience. Have you put a lot of energy into that?
Absolutely. So one of the first things we wanted to do is make sure that we were people-centered from day one. And on Searchlight, what's very unique about our platform is that we have reimagined the reference check into a 360-degree assessment. We're getting a candidate to speak about themselves, but not just about what they did, but what they can do, what do they want to do, where do they want to grow? And then we get the perspective from their prior managers, their prior colleagues, and we bring that into the platform, but in a very growth-centered way. It's about how do we help this person, this candidate, find the well-matched job with the best fit manager and the most supportive team. And how we service this candidate, in addition, is that the profile actually exists on Searchlight for them to reuse and reshare with future employers. It becomes something they can add on to. And we've essentially taken this previously black box exercise of this reference check into something that is actually very developmentally focused, very people-centric, and it's really putting the candidate at the center of it all.
Does that pull the reference check forward in the process a little bit, or is it because most companies wait, the offer is extended, the deal is done, we don't want to lose this candidate, let's check references now? It's very counterintuitive. Or does that mean do you suggest doing the reference checks a little earlier in the process?
Yes. In fact, 80% of our partners will do references earlier in the process. I personally use Searchlight to hire. In fact, I use the full cycle Searchlight platform to hire, but specifically with the 360-degree assessments, I do those on par with the on-site interview. So when I invite a candidate to my on-site interview, they get an invitation to Searchlight. Our customers like Zapier even replace an entire interview panel with Searchlight Insights because they found that our data around a candidate's competencies and cultural alignment were more predictive than taking 2 to 3 hours of their team's time to interview that candidate.
Yeah, and that makes great sense to me. And does this product, is it focused on the assessment and the reference/assessment process? Is there any further automation or process workflow that you're getting involved with in hiring?
Absolutely. So the assessments are where we started, right? And the end result of this assessment is this robust, visual, structured behavioral profile, right? And again, those buckets are the competencies, the strengths and gaps, the cultural alignment, and even career interests. When our customers saw this behavioral data that they got on their candidates, well, of course, number one, as you mentioned, George, they moved them up in the process, right? So they're doing it earlier. And then they wanted this even at the point of job kickoff. So when they're working on the job spec with the hiring manager and recruiter, they wanted to bring in this data to align on what exactly they're targeting. And again, right, 80% of mishires, 89% of mishires are due to a soft skills mismatch. So they wanted to align on these crucial factors early. What they also do is during onboarding, they wanted to use the same behavioral data to customize those day one conversations between the hiring manager and the new hire, right? So no more waiting 6 months to understand, the strengths that someone's going to bring to your team and their growth areas. You're having that conversation early. And then this is one of the parts that I'm most excited about, because we really are trying to expand throughout the candidate and employee lifecycle. We're even helping with new hire reviews, that crucial 90-day, 180-day, even 1-year period when someone becomes a high performer, they find where they belong in that company. They're using Searchlight to check in, make sure that there's mutual alignment between the new hire and the manager, and that we are creating a launch pad for success for that new hire, all powered by behavioral data.
Okay. Well, there's a lot there. So how does this platform get deployed to customers? How do they, I guess, candidates and customers, how do they experience the technology?
Right, great question. So as you mentioned, there was a lot here, and it's very ambitious as we build this talent intelligence platform. But one thing that we've never neglected is the user experience. We've always put that at the front. And so that's why we have seamless two-way integrations with pretty much all existing talent and communications platforms like the ATS, HRS, email, and even Slack. So when you zoom out, right, what I just said may sound super heady, abstract, but when you get down into the day-to-day operations, we really put those operators first, especially because hiring is a team sport. We build out the right workflows for the right person. So for recruiters, their interaction with Searchlight is an ATS integrated workflow to kick off a role with hiring managers. And when they invite the candidate to do the Searchlight assessment, it's again one click from the ATS. Hiring managers, they get Slack notifications or email notifications when the visualized data summary of a candidate is ready. People leaders can double click into our quality of hire actionable analytics directly in a dedicated page in our app. And then the candidates have their own experience where they can log in, they can collect their references, submit their assessment, and feel fully seen, as well as share their data. And so, you know, on the whole, there's quite a lot going on, and that's what we want to bring to the talent market. But for each individual person, we create a streamlined user experience.
Yeah, well, it's an area I've personally had a lot of experience in, so I could geek out on the product for a lot longer, but I'm going to shift gears to the deal. It's one of the categories in the space. It's a big category already. There's a huge addressable market just in this world of quality of hire and assessments, but there's a real opportunity for someone to get it right and make it, you know, a better experience for candidates and make the data, you know, more valuable and usable through the entire employee life cycle for the enterprise, right? To use ongoing. It's so there's a great opportunity here, which shifts me over back to the deal. I'm just curious. I always like to know about timing. You know, why did you go for the Series A now? What was happening internally or externally that made it the right time?
It really came down to our customers. Like, we knew that we were building something really valuable when our customers were not only renewing with us, but they were 2 to 3xing their spend on our platform year over year. So they started calling us a crystal ball, and like Anna described, wanted us to build more and more and more. And so to actually be able to deliver for our customers and make the right investments and really execute on this market opportunity that you just described, George, we knew that we wanted to have more capital. We started talking with investors, and when we met Keith Raboy at Founders Fund, who ultimately led our round, it got us excited to raise the round sooner. Keith is well known for his ability to hire and build exceptional teams at companies like LinkedIn, PayPal, and Square. And when he saw Searchlight, he immediately knew that it's something that all companies should use to hire and retain.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear so many good things about Founders Fund. So you've got a good partner in them for sure. What are your plans with the capital? How are you going to put it to work for the business?
Well, to our core, we believe that people are core to a company's success. So most of our funding is going to building out our team across all functions. And so we invite anyone who's interested in joining a mission-driven, people-first team to visit and check out our jobs at www.searchlight.ai/about. And ultimately, again, it's in service of our customers. So we have a really ambitious product roadmap, and we want to really continue developing our people science engine that's all about creating win-win outcomes for companies and candidates.
Okay, so I like to think about all the constituencies, and I think you hit them all. There's the team internally. Sounds like clearly more opportunity, and you're expanding the team. You talked about the data science engine, so the product, and then for customers, it sounds like you use the word ambitious, Anna. It's been an ambitious roadmap, and you've delivered a lot already. I'm sure you're probably investing more into that product roadmap as well, so they can expect some of that, the benefit as well. Well, I think I've covered all the bases here. Is there anything that I didn't cover that you'd like the market, customers, partners, et cetera, to understand about Searchlight?
I think the one thing I would probably leave everyone with is that I think that there's just such an amazing opportunity to think about recruiting differently, right? The hard truth is that all companies are struggling to hire and retain people right now. But the way to hire more effectively isn't to work harder, it's to work smarter. And hiring smarter requires better data, analytics, and intelligence to improve efficiency and effectiveness. And that's really what we're all about building at Searchlight. And we're really excited to really elevate the role of the talent function within companies.
That's great. And could you share you gave that jobs URL, but could you share your core URL one time for everyone who wants to learn more?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're at searchlight.ai, And also, if anyone wants to reach out, I always love chatting with people and talent leaders. My personal email is Kerry@Searchlight.ai.
Cool. Well, I'm sure you'll be hearing from a few folks on that. I really appreciate your time here. I know how busy it is when you've, close around and we're at the beginning of the year. And thank you so much, both of you, and congratulations on the round. And I wish you the best of luck.
Thanks, George.
Thank you.